Did you know that telling the story of your own life, called autobiography, has played an important role in feminist history? Feminism, which is about seeking equality and fair treatment for women, has used autobiography to help women talk about who they are and what they've experienced. Let's explore how this works and why it matters. In the 1960s and 1970s, the second wave of feminism was growing stronger around the world. Women were asking for equal rights at home, at work, and in society. Autobiography became a place where women could write about their lives and show what it is really like to be a woman. Through these personal stories, readers could understand how hard it was for many women just to be themselves. But writing about yourself is never simple. As feminists wrote more autobiographies, they began to ask big questions about how women describe themselves. Some thinkers wondered, is there only one true way to be a woman? Or are there lots of ways to be female? This debate made autobiography an exciting and sometimes tricky space. In the 1980s, some new ideas called poststructuralism appeared. Poststructuralist scholars said that nobody's identity is fixed. They believed our sense of self is shaped by the words we use and the world around us. For women, this meant that gender was not just something you are, but also something that develops over time, through experiences and how you tell your story. Some critics, like Nancy Miller, worried that these new ideas made it even harder for women to feel truly understood. The idea of a neat, whole female identity seemed impossible, leaving women feeling even more distant from being able to describe themselves fully in writing. Other scholars didn't want to lose a sense of what makes women special. Bella Brodsky and Celeste Schenck tried to find a middle ground. They encouraged writers to look for unique ways women tell their stories, without falling into traps like saying all women are the same, known as essentialism, or that stories are only puzzles of words and not about real lives. Another feminist, Diane Elam, thought autobiography could never really capture everything a person experienced. She said it was impossible to fit a person's true story into words, but writing your autobiography was still very important. It wasn't about creating a perfect story, but about showing bits of life and fighting for space for women to speak. Sometimes, writing about yourself can even be a kind of resistance, or standing up against pressures that try to shape or silence women. Shoshana Fellman believed that telling your own story could challenge the ways people define truth and identity, making it harder for others to put people in little boxes. Because there isn't just one type of woman, autobiographies lets lots of different voices and stories flourish. Every woman writes for her own reasons, whether to understand herself, to inspire others, or to resist being put in a single group. Lastly, when writing about yourself, you don't just talk about what happened to you. You also have to think about who is telling the story and why. The idea is that how and why women choose to describe themselves is just as important as the rules and theories people use to talk about women. In summary, feminist autobiography is about exploring who women really are, letting many different stories shine, and using writing as a way to ask questions, seek truth, and challenge rules. It isn't just about telling what happened. It's about showing there are many ways to be a woman, and that every voice deserves to be heard.